What is up, Deadly Saints Nation? Firestar Heart here, and I'm gonna do a little bit something different for this channel. Now, normally I would say this channel relates to gaming, wrestling, and music. Music seems to have taken quite a bit of back burner, with only really having been featured in the games that get played on this channel. You hear the background music that goes on in the game. Well, in the spirit of doing a little something different, we're going to do a album review. Now, if you guys know, one of my favorite bands of all time is Avenged Sevenfold, and they just dropped a new album a couple of weeks ago, and I've been listening to it ever since, trying to get my clear thoughts on it. And that album is called Life is But a Dream. Right there. And it's an album that really makes you think. Now, off the top of my head, I've gotten, I think, about maybe 4 favorite tracks off of this album that I've been able to completely wrap my head around. But it's a thinker, and it's a concept that they have taken into experimentation. Now, does it really pay off? Well, that's what we're going to discuss. You start off with a track called Game Over, and start us off with a little bit of an acoustic intro, right? And then you go and get in a little. It's an okay track to me. Starts off slow, then it gets a little bit heavy, and then it goes in. Then your next track is Mattel. Now, Mattel is one that really kicks a lot of ass to me. It's something that when I first listened to it, I heard the heaviness, and I was thrilled about it. And then it took a little dip in there, a little soft dip, and you hear it for the first time, and it's something that throws you off. But then you go back and listen to it again, and it's like, wow. So Mattel was really the first heavy track that blew my mind here. And then you go to, well, the very first single they released from this, Nobody. Now, Nobody is a song that I kind of have a love-hate relationship with it. I absolutely love listening to it, and Rock Band actually dropped this a few weeks ago. I love listening to the song, hate playing it on guitar. Kind of frustrates my aging fingers. But it's about, like, I would say, a man or a being walking through the world, and he's just discovering a lot of things. Avenged Sevenfold could explain this a lot better than I could. Overall, really great too, and I'm kind of glad that they led with this now that I look back on it. Then you go to We Love You. That was their next single off of this album, and well, it took me a couple of listens to actually get used to this appropriately. But after a few listens, it kind of grew on me, and it became my 4th favorite track off of this album. Nobody being number 3, and Mattel actually being number 2. But up next, Cosmic. Now, Cosmic is a pretty good tune in and of itself, but it's not one of my I can't say it's one of my favorites off of the album, and I don't think any of the tracks per se bite, but I definitely put Cosmic right along in the middle, maybe kind of sort of below my favorite tracks, like right below. And that's not saying anything bad about it. Hell, this whole album is something that gets you thinking, and that's a lot of something that is kind of refreshing in the metal scene today. Then we kick things up into a gear that I absolutely adore. Beautiful Morning. Beautiful Morning is my favorite track off of this new album. So yes, you could say I'm giving this a perfect grade. This song right here. It's my undisputed favorite track. It hits hard and it doesn't stop. It doesn't let up. And then you got Sinister Gates singing on a bridge in the interlude. That's pretty cool. And this album actually has remnants of the Rev and Sinister Gates' old writings on here. That's a cool discovery to know that the Rev has still contributed in a way, posthumously of course, to Avenged Sevenfold here still in 2023. But now, here's where the album starts to kind of fall a little for me. And it's not anything against the songs. The next track's called Easier. And this is where the experimentation stuff really starts to sit in. Now, Easier, it is a bit of a rocking tune, yes. But to me, it's a little bit of a fall off from what Beautiful Morning was to me. That's not anything bad, but it's just where the experimentation starts to kick back in again and it takes a different turn, which is pretty much a lot of what this album is. Up next, G. Not really much to say about this one. It's just a little bit all over the place. And sometimes that's just what experiments are. They're a bit all over the place. And again, that's not a knock. It's something that really makes you think, especially when you're listening to it for the first time. Like I said, it's taken me a few listens to really grab my thoughts on this. And then you got Ordinary. Now, Ordinary, very weird. It's a very weird song. And you listen to the lyrics, and they're talking about giving someone a soul. There's a being. Is he a robot? Is he AI? It's a very interesting thought. But after that little popish tune following with a Sinister Gate solo in that song to boot, you head to a song called Death, essentially. And mind you, these past two songs had the first letters of these words separated by parentheses. I don't know what that means. I just pronounce it the same. But it's a somber kind of tune almost. You hear the piano, you hear the orchestra in the background, and then you get to the end of it all. The album title track, Life is But a Dream. And there's not much really to say about this. Sinister Gates is playing a piano solo. That's all this is. It's a really nice piano solo. No lyrics, no vocals, nothing. Just Sinister Gates playing on that piano. And it's kind of a nice little way to say goodbye to this somewhat kind of toy factory experiment of an album, if you will. With me only having 4 favorite tracks, you would think I would probably give this album maybe 7 stars out of 10, right? That's how I would rate this. I would rate it by stars. It's Firestar hard after all. I'm going to do stars. After letting it sink in for a bit, maybe I don't give it 7 stars. Maybe I bump it up to 8 stars out of 10. And that's for the experimentation and the thoughts that this album generates for you. Now, initially, yes, 7 out of 10. Because I take my 4 favorite tracks and I minus it from what I feel about the rest of the album. And it's not the tracks being weaker or anything per se, it's just me not liking those tracks as much. So, you could say 7 stars out of 10, you could say 8 out of 10, you could say 7.5 out of 10. I'm going to go with 8 stars out of 10. And a little something that I don't think a lot of people do, I am going to tell you what I feel are worthy wrestling themes from this album. And me personally, I go with Beautiful Morning. For me. Another song I would also think, Mattel. Mattel would also be a really good theme song for somebody. And then, I've heard it used. I've even taken it out for a test spin. But that's before I heard the rest of the songs. And the third one I would think would be a worthy theme song is Nobody. So, Beautiful Morning, Mattel, and Nobody, I feel like are all worthy wrestling theme songs. We Love You, my fourth favorite track, but not quite theme song worthy, I don't think. Maybe for a premium event, something like that. But folks, that's going to do it here for this special little album review thing. I don't know how often I'm going to do these things, but maybe if I get the gist to just talk about something like this, I'll come back up with something like this. But stay tuned, because not only do I have a gameplay reaction coming up for Mortal Kombat 1, which I probably should have done a couple of weeks ago, but hey, let's do a little catch up on it. I'm also going to be voicing over an upcoming show for Phoenix Pro Wrestling, which you'll be able to check out on Elabot One's channel when that's done. And then, back to streaming, man. Looks like we got a busy weekend ahead of us. So let's get this stuff out. And I hope you guys enjoyed doing this. It might seem a little bit choppy. My thoughts may not still seem as coherent as it was talking about this. But just doing this right off the cuff. No, it's raw. Me coming at you guys live from the Reaction Nebula Zone. Talking to you guys about one of my favorite bands of all time. So, if you like all this, and you want to see more of this, plus all the gaming and stuff I normally do, please, if you're new to the channel, give a subscribe. Leave a like on this video. Leave a comment. Let me know how I did. Share the video if you can. And if you want to support the channel, you can do so by doing a couple things. You could donate on PayPal, paypal.me/firestarheart. You can donate on Patreon, patreon.com/firestarheart, CRW. You can get some merchandise at teespring.com/stores/firestar-heart. Or if you want to just follow me on Twitter at firestarheart. You follow me on Instagram at firestarheartofficial. But I really indulge you guys to at least try to support the channel as well with a small donation to PayPal. That might be your most comfortable bet. Or copy some merch. Or do both. Hell, if it helps the channel out, it's one step closer to me doing this for you guys a lot more frequently and a lot more full. So I thank you guys. Peace out, rock on. Until the next video, I must bid you adieu. Goodbye and good night. On the fire. Boom bang. See ya.